Tying up another wet fly today from Ray Bergman's book Trout. This is called the Gray Miller. It's a handsome little fly with the light, it's got a kind of a grayish blue light body to it, and the slate colored gray wings. I think it's just an attractive little fly. Not much to it. It's a great fly to work on your skills in tying wet flies if you want to work on your matched up wings. That's the Gray Miller. I'll get started tying. I'm going to start the Gray Miller with a hook in the vise. This is a Mustad 3399 in a size 8. I'm going to debarb the hook. I'm going to attach my thread. For thread, I'm using a Danville 6/0 in black. Because the body on this is a bluish gray wool, I don't have to worry about darkening it up. I'm just going to start my thread about an eye length behind the eye of the hook, advance it down to the point, just past the point of the hook. This is where I'm going to tie in the tag on this. There is no tail on this fly. Tag is some silver tinsel. I'm using a Danville Mylar silver and gold tinsel in a size 16 and 18. I'm going to tie that in with the gold side up. I'm going to pull this back to just beyond that thread wrap right there. Anchor that in, and I'm going to advance my thread down, about 8 to 10 turns, something like that. I just want to go beyond the bend just a little bit. This is where the tip is going to be. I'm going to come back, and I'm not going to quite be at the point of the hook. Wrap that tinsel in. I want to make certain I'm getting nice edge-to-edge smooth wraps. You could use something a little bit bigger if you want. I find the 14 on this size hook to be a little bit too big, but if that suits you, then go ahead. You just need about a half a dozen, 5 wraps to create the tag on this fly. Then I'll trim away the excess. As I mentioned, the body of this is just some blue-gray wool. I've got some, this is an Antron yarn. It's a kind of a bluish gray. It has some nice tones to it, so that's why I chose it. This is a 4-strand yarn here, so I'm going to peel this apart so that I have just 2 strands, and that's what I'm going to use to tie in and wrap the body on this. I'm going to tie this in and leave it long, almost over the eye of the hook, or even over the eye of the hook a little bit. Because then I can trim this back down into the body outside of the head space. Advance my thread forward. Here I'm going to put a little wax on the thread. Just helps grip the materials a little bit better. Wrap my thread forward, smoothing off all of that yarn or that wool under the body. I bring it up to the end of the body right here. Taking the wool, I'm going to counter twist that so that they both flatten out. And even though they're right side by side, it really doesn't matter, because as I wrap this in, it's all going to smooth out for the body on this. Notice that second wrap, the one to the back here, I'm letting wrap over the top of the previous one. It just gives it a little bit thicker body. And then I'm going to bring this right up to the end of the body here Be careful not to put, it can be tempting to put in another wrap. You don't want to, because otherwise you'll be crowding the eye. Now, if you want to, at this stage, you could also make this look, I guess, a little bit rougher, like wool, if you were to roughen that up a little bit, like with a dubbing brush or something like that. I'm just going to leave it smooth the way it is. As that is fished, those fibers will come out, and that will get more fuzzy. Now, if you don't have any wool or even any yarn, you could mix up some dubbing. So if you have some, even some muskrat dubbing, which is a nice gray color, and say a blue life cycle or something like that, then you can mix some of that together, and that would probably do you just fine. Now, the hackle on this, or I should say the wing on the blue-gray, is just a slate. I'm using a natural mallard wing for this. So I've got my left and my right. I'm going to go ahead and cut out the slips for each side. These are tied in with the dull sides together so that the wings will flare out in the back. I'm going to get my two slips together like this, and you'll see they're a little wider. The one on my side is definitely wider. I got a couple barbs I can take out of the top here. And then I think overall the wings are a little bit wider than the gap. I'll probably take out a couple more on both sides. Better to take them a little bit wider, because you can always thin them out, make them a little narrower, than to not have enough. I get the tips evened right here. Those are going to go back just past the bend of the hook. Bracing those really, really good in my left hand. I'm going to put a little pinch and loop in there. I'm going to draw that down, then put in 4 or 5 wraps just to secure it before I let go with my left hand here to see how my wing is setting. That one turned out pretty good. Trim away the excess. I'm going to bring my thread down to behind the eye of the hook and start wrapping backwards over the butt ends of that. And this is just to secure all of that in, even going back a little bit more for the hackle on this. The hackle is a gray hackle. I'm using just a gray, it's a light gray hen neck. I'm going to isolate the tip on that. Cut that off to just a little bit of a wedge. Careful with the wings here as you're putting in material. I'm going to wrap that in and then bring my thread all the way down to behind the eye of the hook. I'm going to get 3, maybe 4 wraps of this hackle in. It depends on how dense it is. This particular one will probably be 4. And that will also put me in just right behind the eye of the hook. Keep stroking that from the front to the back so that those barbs, I minimize how many get laid down and trapped in a forward direction. Bringing this around, I get 1 wrap around to secure it. I bring my thread back, keeping tension on that at all times. Now I'm going to moisten my fingers a little bit and stroke back all of those barbs. Again, paying attention to the wings. I don't want to rough those up. Stroke those all back, and then behind the eye of the hook, start moving backwards, shaping a little head on this. Doesn't have to be big. This does 2 things for me. It gives me a nice transition and finishes off the fly. It also gets all of these barbules in the hackle kind of in a rearward sweep, And then the rest of this feather I can actually just pop right off. I'm going to flatten my thread, and I will put in my whip finish. I have seen this fly also tied instead of a collared hackle like that with just a gray throat on it. So if you prefer your wet flies to have a throat in them, you can by all means just tie this with a gray throat instead of a collared hackle. I'll trim away my thread. I want to double check my wings, and these are turned out pretty nice. Everything looks pretty good. We get some head cement on this. That'll soak down in there, and then in a second I'll come back. I should say a minute. I'll come back and I will get some black lacquer on that. A couple of coats of black lacquer, and that should finish up the gray Mylar. I got one barb here that looks like it broke off. I don't think it's really that big of a deal, but yeah, I'm not gonna. It's one of those things that might bug you, and you want to get at it, and then you go in and you chop out 3 or 4 other barbs, and then you got a gap, and it's just not worth it. So anyway, that is the gray Mylar. Pretty straightforward little fly. It's nice colors and everything. The slate wings are rather handsome on this, with the little silver tag and the blue-gray body. Blue is actually a very, very good color for a lot of different fishing conditions. So the gray Mylar might be a good one to have in your box. Thanks for watching today. Thank you for joining me at the Vise today. I hope you learned a new pattern, at least a tip or trick here and there. If you'd like to help Dress Irons, you can like, comment, share, subscribe, all those wonderful things for the video. You can also head out to dressedirons.com where you can buy flies, tools, stickers, and merch, or you can join a growing community over on Locals at the Dressed Irons Fly Tying Guild. You can also donate to Dressed Irons if you want through the link at the bottom of the description. I thank everybody for their ongoing support, as it really does help the creation of these videos. But what's important is to remember, only fly tying. If you're not having fun, you're doing it wrong.